The London sewer system became the blueprint for industrial cities around the world. The way of the future was marked by the burial of most urban rivers. But their presence is still felt.
I've met people who've said, oh, I know that street. There are a lot of houses that appear to be sinking. From what I understand, there is an underground creek that was here, or there was water underneath. I've never seen it, but, you know, it's something that makes sense.
Garrison Creek flowed for thousands of years until the end of the 19th century, when the city began to bury it into a sewer, which is what we're standing in today. This is the entire watershed of this part of Toronto. So the natural watershed, everything that falls from the sky, and then the human watershed, everything that comes from our houses and businesses and industrial buildings. It all ends up in here.
The Garrison Creek is one of many rivers flowing under Toronto streets. In the downtown core, these rivers are encased in 19th century sewers that trap both rainwater and raw sewage. And they're caught up in one serious problem. When the system works properly, the mix of buried river, sewage, and rain is led to treatment plants outside the city. But as population density keeps rising, old Victorian technology can hardly cope with all the sewage. In times of heavy rain, the system overflows.
Pretty much any pipe that you can see, it's going to be mixing stormwater with sanitary sewer water. So you've got,
right there?
Yep, that pipe right there. When that flows after a rainstorm, it's going to bring water that's been on the road where the cars are, along with anything that was supposed to go to the sanitary sewer system. If you touch the water, you're actually at risk of getting some sort of disease or virus that might be contained in the sewage. Frogs and turtles and fish can't survive or reproduce naturally because there's so many chemicals.
Paris has the same problem, Rome has the same problem, Philadelphia, Montreal, Toronto. It's a very interesting issue.
In the 1990s, two architects looking to beautify the parks along the Garrison Creek's old course had a bold idea. One that could reduce Garrison sewer overflows in a whole new way.
The paradigm was as soon as it rains, all the water runs into an underground system, and then you catch it all at the bottom. And it's all an engineered system. It means building pipes, and it means building treatment centers. Whereas the other movement was this idea that you could treat this naturally.
The idea was simple. Instead of leading rainwater straight into the sewer, rechannel it into the parks. Create holding ponds where the Garrison Creek used to flow and where water still naturally gravitates.
You can see the kind of grade going down here, right down there. there could be a network of a small stream linkage all the way down. Trees actually have a function. They just pull the water up. Wasn't something like 200 bathtubs of water per day they can pull up into the system? So the polishing and the cleaning issue is done by the trees. Or when the water, the storm water, which is rain, let's call it by its honest name, rain, it hits the ground, infiltrates, and it moves. You don't have to treat it at all.
The growth of the city is largely taking place through intensification. We're going vertical as opposed to horizontal because we've maxed out in terms of the amount of area that's available for development across the city. That puts additional strains and pressures on our system.
It wasn't a nostalgic project, although there was history involved in this, but there was a real functional and monetary, economic kind of side to this thing that made some sense.
When we sat down with the engineers, said, no, you need open space to have ponds. And we said, well, look, ding, 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 ding. There's 125 hectares of open space, and here's where we can put the ponds.
A number of city councilors have no clue what we're talking about, no idea.
Unable to grasp the potential of a natural water treatment system, in 1996, city officials approved a plan that would bury the Garrison Creek even further down. The 4-kilometer-long Western Beaches storage tunnel traps the sewage from 8 overflow points. It can hold enough sewage to fill Toronto's CN Tower to the top. Twice.
This is sold as a renovation of the outdated and crumbling sewage infrastructure, whereas it is nothing of the sort. It reminds me of the time when my roof was leaking, and all I could do was put a bucket where the water was leaking. That didn't fix the roof.